Empress Justice here, and welcome to the August Eclipse 2026 reading. Okay, now this is going to take place on the 12th of August 2026. The beginning of the eclipse will be at 6:17 p.m. British summertime, and that will be seen in most parts of Europe, including the UK. Okay, now this partial eclipse will be the closest to a full eclipse since 1999. So this will be a very special eclipse. So we've got 6:17 p.m. British summertime, which is the entry point for the eclipse. When it hits its peak, max power, that will be at 7:14 p.m. British summertime. But for now, I've actually done the astrological placements for the eclipse for the entry point into the eclipse. So that's what I'm going to be covering today. Now, we've got the sun and moon, Lagna, midheaven, and Rahu that I'm going to be exploring today. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we've got Ashlesha, sun and moon. Okay, it's a sun and moon conjunction. Again, solar eclipse, par for the course. And it is semi-squared Hasta Venus. Now, what that means with the sun and moon semi-squared Hasta Venus, it means there's slight mood swings, feeling underappreciated, financial or relationship miscommunications might arise, overindulgence might be likely if there's a lack of emotional release to be had. So there is some tension between us and our relationships, between our emotions, our egos, and our relationships. But it's not going to be huge. It's going to be like a sort of teetering thing. It's going to be unsettling. So we might need to watch it. We might need to watch how we talk to each other, how we interact with each other, how we kind of view each other. There's a lot of listening that needs to be done. And with Hasta's relationship with Ashlesha in particular, there can be some repression there because Hasta usually restricts the expression of Ashlesha, usually restricts it, which can sometimes be for Ashlesha's own good, but other times it can be a form of repression. So there's repression there. There can be repression of passions, of our true instincts, what we really want to do. And because of that repression, we might take it too far into, again, overindulgence, or maybe being a bit more chaotic than we should. But because it's a semi-square, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It just seems like it's teetering. It's not like diving over the cliff edge. We're just experiencing just a little bit of tension here. Now, we also have sun and moon trining Revati in Saturn, but the Saturn is retrograde. So there's a lot less limitation on what we are able to do for ourselves, or what we want. Now is the time for us to actually manifest what we want to do with our actions, because Saturn's not in the way, right? So now is the perfect time for us to manifest what we actually want. Saturn's not in the way, Saturn's not involved. So what does it say for the overall picture? It says we have a natural steady flow of productivity, healthier boundaries, and emotional resilience might come up as well. Now is a good time to focus on what truly matters, because past commitments will come up, loose ends will come up, and we will have the opportunity to build self-sufficiency. So right now is a really good time to make the most of building whatever it is you want to build. Saturn is taking a step back. Now is the time, because when Saturn goes direct again, or just before Saturn goes direct, it will come full force. It's like retrograde is kind of winding up the pressure before it releases it with a direct. Do you understand what I'm saying? So while Saturn is retrograde, we need to make the most of that. Now is the time to build self-sufficiency and focus on what truly matters to us, because that is what is going to carry us through when Saturn goes direct again. Very, very important. Now, we've got the moon and sun sesquiquadrate, Uttara Bhadrapada, Neptune. Neptune is also in retrograde. Okay. Now, usually with Saturn and Neptune in retrograde, there's less emphasis on the mysterious and the intuitive, and there's more emphasis on the structured, which can explain the recent obsession with religion and with organized religion rather than spirituality or finding your own path, right? There's this obsession with religion because the spirituality is being held back with the Neptune retrograde. But it's also the magic of Uttara Bhadrapada that's also being held back. So there's a lot more pragmatism in the air. There's a lot less woo-woo, a lot more pragmatism, a lot more people taking practical steps rather than relying on magical thinking. That's the good part. The bad part is that we may rely more on organized structures when it comes to religion and when it comes to spirituality, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it depends on how far you take it. Okay. So that's been there for a while, and that's going to continue to be there for a while. So that's more of a longer trend thing. But in relation to the sun and moon, what we've got is that we're going to be noticing more gaps between wishes and reality. Fogginess and confusion can be elevated, but it's kind of countered with the fact that we understand what's real and what isn't. So we're not going to immediately take our own minds as being gospel here. There's going to be a part of us that's going to be like, well, I don't know for sure, so let me just check and double check. We're going to be more likely to check and double check before we believe something. We're going to be more skeptical, and we may even be more skeptical of ourselves before we proceed on something. So it feels like we're going to be more cautious, more careful, which is a good thing because fogginess and confusion are going to be elevated at this time, unfortunately. So let's have a look at the sun, sesquiquadrate, Mula Lagna, okay, in Sagittarius. So we've got the mismatch between self and our projected image, and we are going to be more likely to rush ahead with things. Like I said before, there's going to be more impulsivity, less clarity, which is kind of tempered by our natural skepticism at this time. And there's going to be less desire to pause because of that Saturn retrograde. Now, what I will say is that impulsivity is not necessarily a good thing, but I feel like moving forward with Saturn in retrograde with like some core desires and some core ambitions is going to be really good for you to do. So yeah, so that's Ashlesha. Now we've got Mula Lagna. And Mula Lagna is in conjunct Pushya Mercury. So already we've got a Mercury, we've got a water Mercury, and it's in Cancer, which means it's kind of it's an enemy to Mercury, I believe. So our logic might not be all the way clear to us. But again, it's that healthy skepticism that will keep us in check. Do you understand what I mean? One thing to watch out for, though, well, a few things to watch out for are words coming out differently than we intended them to. Our nervous physical energy, there is going to be irritability there. Now, Ashlesha and Hasta Venus, already have a lot of nervous energy. You throw the Pushya Mercury in the mix, that kind of elevates itself. So whilst it's not going to lead to necessarily strong, again, this solar eclipse is not going to lead to any strong negative reactions here. It's just irritability and just being kind of irritated with each other in a way. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I see here. Okay, so pause before correcting or communicating is what I get here. And oh, okay, the Lagna has a lot of squares here. So the Lagna with Mula squared Hasta, of course it squares Hasta, Venus, and it also squares Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde in Revati and Uttara Bhadrapada respectively. So collectively what that means is relationship misunderstandings, like I said before. So that's reignited here. Relationship misunderstandings, there's mild social awkwardness, feeling mildly unsexy. Like, we are going to fight. Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, right? We are going to feel like just a little bit unsexy and try to compensate for that, okay? Also, this is for my targeted individuals in the audience. You might need to beware of something called honeyed traps, meaning sweet people with ulterior motives. Once again, that skepticism that comes with that sun and moon sesquiquadrate Neptune, that is going to help you, okay? When in doubt, listen to your doubts. I'm going to say that again. When in doubt, listen to your doubts. Okay. Now, we've got crisis of self-image and relationship burdens. That's the square with Saturn retrograde. And there's also revisiting past burdens and having an opportunity to be authentic, which is going to be important because there might be some blurred identity and internal confusion leading to a drain of our energy. So this is going to be an opportunity for us to look at our past with a clearer lens, with a less personal lens, so that we can really have the chance to understand who we are and how we intend to move forward. Then there's the Lagna in conjunct Rohini Uranus. Oh yeah, okay, so this might be a little bit tricky. So we've got frustration with expected roles here. Okay, we've got impulsivity, and once again, relationship tension, crisis of authenticity. So collectively, we may experience a sort of I don't know who I'm supposed to be type deal. That's what the eclipse kind of heralds astrologically. So again, not dramatic, but there is some powerful stuff going on internally for many of us at this time, right? And then we've got the midheaven squared moon, midheaven in Swati is squared the moon, the sun, and Mercury, and Pusha Jupiter, and also Uttara Ashada Pluto retrograde. Okay, so there's a lot going on with the midheaven. There's a lot going on with the public roles that we play collectively, that like on the surface it seems like we're merging and integrating with each other, but it seems like there's warning signs there. So let me have a look at the let me have a look at these placements. Okay, so with the square sun, it says that we'll want to do things our own way, which can lead to authority clashes. What I'm seeing are more protests. What I'm seeing is more activism. And this time around, the activism is going to clash more with authority figures than it did before. So, you know, if you are on the side of justice and you're on the side of like progressive politics, please be extremely careful before you interact with police or before you interact with any authority figures out there. Because the likelihood is that whilst I can't exactly say that the hammer will be brought down on you, it's not that type of placement, but it will lead to greater difficulties and greater clashes of ego that might have ramifications further on down the line. So please be careful out there. Please don't put yourself in situations that you don't need to put yourselves in. It's not that deep. Okay? With the moon, we've got emotional and private life thrust into the public spotlight. Oh, Lord Jesus. So basically, for everybody, the past comes back up. There are past situations to deal with. And before we have the opportunity to really explore our own authenticity and our own character for ourselves, it's going to be thrust into the spotlight, which is just crazy. Oh, this is stressful. Okay, so there's that. And then we've got Mercury. We've got speaking our minds too freely, alienating authority figures. That goes with the sun as well, right? So bearing in mind that we already have a certain placement in Mercury, making us liable to speak out of turn. Remember, we've got that Mercury in Pusha in conjunct the Mula Lagna. in Sagittarius. Okay, so it's likely to make us not only say the wrong thing, but say the wrong thing at warp speed. We are going to need to really, really think about what we say before we say it here. And especially considering how authority figures enter the picture. It's not about respectability politics. It's about timing and strategy. It's about using your intelligence. It's about playing the game right. That's what this is about. It's about playing the game correctly. So let's move on to midheaven, squared dupes. And then we've got morals and professional life may clash with each other. Whew. So what I'm seeing is that professional life, for some of you, not all of you, professional life and authority figures are tied together on one hand. And then on the other hand, there's the need to do things your way. And that's not in spite of morality. That's because of morality. That's because of your morals. You feel the need to do things your way, not for ego, not for self-congratulations, but for the sole desire to do the right thing. So for some of you, you will experience that. Now I'm going to say something that I have never said in my life as a targeted individual, as a woman. But this might be the time where you might need to put your morals to one side. Especially if you are vulnerable and then you are isolated and you're in a position where nobody is really helping you. You might have to put your morality to one side. It is what it is. It's the truth. You might have to do that. So there's that. Then we've got Mercury retrograde. Unavoidable transformations to career and legacy. You know, that there's a force. Like we're forced to review things. That's with the, no, that's not with the Mercury retrograde. Forgive me, that's with the Pluto retrograde. I wrote that down wrong. So with Pluto retrograde, there are transformations that are unavoidable to career and legacy, and it forces us to review what we're actually doing. And I feel like the emotional and private life thrust into the public spotlight, that's going to force that hand. That's going to partially force that hand. And, oof. Okay, so we've got the midheaven in conjunct Revati Saturn retrograde, which means there's going to be a disconnect between work, our morality, our work, what we want to do, how we want to do it, and our career progression, authority, career, professionalism, right? There's going to be a clash between the two. And then on a happier note, we have midheaven, quintile, Maga, Ketu. Okay, so this can be the saving grace of our collective midheaven right here, because a lot of us are going to draw seamlessly from what we know. We may have sudden brilliant insights around our career trajectory. And hold on a minute. And we may end up integrating the past in a fresh, innovative and public way. So the emotional and private life stuff, we may be able to kind of re-examine in a way that not only helps us, but helps other people. And it might help our career in the long run, which is why it's going to be important for us to just really check in with ourselves before clashing with anybody who is above us. Right now, especially those of us who are most vulnerable, we need to go along to get along to go along. Go along, get along to go along. You know what I mean? Need to do that. And the more vulnerable you are, the more you need to do that. Look after number one, because you need more help than most. Okay? So the midheaven brings a lot of transformations, a lot of having to review things, but it also brings us the opportunity to reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with our role in this world in a meaningful way and in a way that is most aligned with who we are. Let me just fix this afro real quick. Okay. So, Rahu Dhanishta, right? So Rahu is currently in Dhanishta in Aquarius, okay? And it's biquintile Hasta Venus. So what that means is that what we attract to ourselves, or what we desire to attract to ourselves, are going to be karmic creative breakthroughs, unconventional relationships, and our subconscious guiding us towards new hobbies or self-value. So this is where our focus is going to be, because collectively Rahu represents our desires, right? So this is where our mind is going to be fixated on. But with the solar eclipse, it heralds the ability to actually bring karmic creative breakthroughs, unconventional relationships, and new hobbies or self-value to us. It is going to bring those things to us anyway, because the solar eclipse heralds that. Okay. Now, we've got Rahu trining Ardra Mars. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're going to want to step out of our comfort zones. We're going to know what to do and how to execute it. And there are initiatives that are going to come up that are going to feel natural to us. But remember what I said about the midheaven, right? We know what to do and how to do it. But for now, we've got to hang back. We've got to hang back. If we're going to do anything, we need to do it passively, meaning in this particular case, if we know what to do, we need to be prepared rather than actually try to move forward and steam ahead with it. That's what we need to be doing. Okay. So with Rahu being the way it is, we are going to like have a sudden insight as to, oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's how I'm supposed to be going about it. We are going to find ourselves in unconventional relationships that might actually be fulfilling for us if we know how to play it right. Okay. So that's what we get for Rahu. That's what the solar eclipse heralds. And what I want to get into now before I go is I want to get into Sun, Moon, Lagna, Midheaven, and Dhanishta on their own, just to give you guys a summation of what to expect after this August eclipse on the 12th. So father issues are going to ease up a little bit because it's the eclipse, and the eclipse kind of takes over the sun. So father issues are going to be like diminished somewhat. For those of you who might have had issues with your fathers, you might have less issues with your fathers, which is great. Okay. Friends might be made more easily in spite of the minor relationship tensions. There is more of a willingness to integrate and focus on the present rather than worrying about the past or the future. So because the sun is in eclipse, there's less of a binding, which ironically opens us up more to being around company, which plays right into Rahu and Dhanishta, right? With regard to the moon, however, the moon is going to be elevated. So it might bring unexpected events. I don't know, there might be unexpected events bringing further insecurities or greater insecurities than normal. But because of that sun eclipse, it feels like there will be more people to help. There will be more support. There will be more unexpected situations. There will be more issues. There will be more things that we might have to heal out of. But because of that solar eclipse with Ashlesha, we will have more support in dealing with this. So it kind of cancels it out. There's almost a cancelling out of the issues versus how much help and support we get with it, because we're going to get help and support with it. And again, any father issues or social issues, they're going to be lessened at this point, in spite of the relationship disharmony. With the Mula Lagna, we are going to have some spiritual strength. We're going to gain some spirituality. It's not going to be all pragmatism. There's going to be an emphasis on passing on some of our knowledge, although I'd watch out for that because of the Mercury placements. There will be more focus on physical pleasures, less detachment. With the midheaven in Swati, internal storms may quieten, but external storms are another thing entirely. Like I said, there's clashes with authority that we have to navigate. With the Rahu in Dhanishta, we search for higher wealth and inner soul cleansing, but along the way we may find that we have actual greater opportunities to earn material wealth. Now, because we're dealing with Lion Yoni, material wealth doesn't necessarily make one happy, but there is going to be an opportunity to build physical wealth, which ties in with authority figures, ties in with professionalism. And like I said, it's better to focus on that than to be too intent on doing things your way for now. So yes, that was the August eclipse astrological forecast. I've been Empress Justice. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I will be back for the tarot. Okay, take care. Bye bye, my darlings.